What's up, guys? Today we are going to be talking about Ari Aster's first feature film, Hereditary. And I gotta say, I was so horrified the first time I watched this film. I like to think I don't get spooked very easily, but this is the one horror film that's truly sat with me through the years. And it also scared me so much while watching it. This is one of the only horror films that I will not watch alone. Every time I've watched this horror film, it's been with at least one or two friends. Because I can't watch it by myself. I just can't. The funny thing is, though, every time I watch it, I see it with different friends. So I get to see their reaction for the first time. But I've noticed something each time I watch this film with someone new. They're always super scared. Now, I bet you're thinking, well, that's super dumb. This is a super scary horror film. Who wouldn't be scared while watching this? That was simple observation. But I actually started thinking deeper into it, and a lot of people don't have the same reactions to horror. And what I mean by that is horror is often very subjective, because, me and my friends can watch Weapons, and I personally found the movie hilarious, especially a second time around. Meanwhile, my friends found it absolutely horrifying. A lot of times, my friend group is very, split when it comes to if the horror film was scary or not. But we were all super scared during Hereditary. And with this video, I want to ask the question, why this horror film? Now, I know there's bound to be some people who just don't find Hereditary scary. I get it. Horror is very subjective. But I think the general consensus is that this is a horrifying film. So today I'm going to talk about why is Hereditary so scary? And is it any good? But before I get into it, please like and subscribe, and I would love to hear your opinions on Hereditary down below. Did you find Hereditary scary, and if not, why? Anyway, let's get into it, shall we? The first thing I want to talk about with Hereditary is how it talks about grief. Now, we all know there are a multitude of horror films that talk about grief, such as Pet Sematary, or The Descent, or The Babadook. However, I think there is a key difference with how these horror films depict grief and loss, compared to how Hereditary depicts grief and loss. In most horror films, grief is usually just a monster. And although that's been done really well, I haven't seen any horror films that have the impact on me with what Hereditary did. And I think that's mainly because Hereditary, for the most part, doesn't have a monster. Except in the final 15 minutes or so. But we'll get into that later. Just a heads up, I'm not the biggest fan of the ending. But just to get right to my point on this, most horror films have a monster to depict grief or tragedy, while Hereditary chooses a different path. In Hereditary, for a good 95% of it, it shows that grief is the true monster. It shows that the true horror is the result of a death of a loved one. And this film just puts the pedal to the metal in showcasing how horrific these type of situations can be. How some people will just turn to anything to try to have their lost one back. And how some people can manipulate that grief and try to exploit it. But at the heart of this film, it just shows a crumbling family. At first, the family thinks they don't have to be like the people in their family before them. They can change, they can live better lives, or at least they try to in the beginning. But by the end of this film, they find out that it's hereditary, if you will. Come on, cue the laugh track. Come on, that was good. Thank you, thank you. So what makes Hereditary so scary is it feels so raw. It feels so real compared to other horror films we have seen before. This is a horror film that truly stands by itself. But anyway, I've had you guys on the edge of your seats for long enough. I'm going to talk about why I don't like the ending. Throughout this film, you really question what is real and what is fake, kind of like The Shining. But unlike The Shining, it basically confirms that the supernatural stuff is real at the end. Which is something I don't like, because just throughout the film I was wondering, is Annie just seeing what she's seen because she wants to see it, you know? This is a struggling family who has a history of mental illness. Could they just be seeing what they want to be seeing? And that means that the cult is exploiting them. So those were questions that were just ringing through my head throughout the entire film. But then the end just goes like, oh yeah, all that supernatural stuff, that was real. Like personally, I feel like that ruins one of the main points of the film because it feels like it has to end with like big scares and spooks and stuff. The ending kind of feels like the film itself feels like, oh no, I have to have this huge big supernatural ending, and it does just that. And it just does not work for this film at all. Like, am I alone in this? Because I think the ending is kind of stupid in a way. Okay, well that's a bit harsh. I won't go that far, but I just didn't like the ending. Like, this film did not need to end with a big spooky spectacle other to sell tickets. It's like the producers watched this and said, oh no, what scary parts can we put in the trailer? We need 10 minutes of scary stuff, you know, to choose from. And Ari Aster was just like, I'll put that at the end. But besides from the ending, I pretty much have like no complaints with this film. So anyway, I'm gonna start talking about some of the stuff I liked about this film. First of all, the acting is just incredible. Sorry if I mispronounced her name, but Toni Collette is just so good in this film. She's by far like the highlight in this. Millie Shapiro just does fantastic as well. And hey, the kid from Jumanji video game movies in this film too, and he does pretty good as well. I honestly think everyone in this cast just does such a great job. And please excuse me if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but I think Gabriel Byron maybe, is just fantastic. I didn't notice some of his acting the first watch. The second watch, however, he was so good. And I bet the third time I watch this, I'll have another favorite actor. Just like, this film is so good. Also, the tension in this film, just chef's kiss, you know, like, it's superb. Specifically the party scene, well, the party scene slash car ride scene, just one of the most suspenseful moments I've ever had watching a film. And I don't think I've ever been more shocked over a character's death. Like, I was not expecting for her to die. I don't think anyone who haven't seen any spoilers went into this film and expected for her to die, because her death was just shocking to say the least. And then as Alex Wolff's character just walks away from the car and just lays down because he doesn't know what to do, and you can see that on his face because, again, the acting is so good in this film. The cinematography also really good. I love when a camera moves well in a horror movie. And guess what? The score was amazing too. So So in conclusion, I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Ari Aster has been very divisive as of late, but I haven't seen a single one of his films that I just outright hated yet. I thought Eddington was okay, I thought it was good. A big part of me just hopes he returns to horror because he just seems to be so good in that genre. But hey, I'm still really excited to see what he does next. And if you're really excited to see what I do next, did you see that transition? Please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. So, bye.